I have come to dwell in harmony with it. Not in joy, nor in tranquillity, yet I did adjust. With toil and steadfast spirit, I labored diligently, my gaze fixed upon the path ahead, and thus did I forge a life of mine own, distant from the hearth of my youth. In yonder realm of technology, I had secured mine employment, and taken residence in a tranquil abode, a few leagues distant, whereupon I didst construct that which I may proudly name mine own. Though I didst visit, dispatched cards of birth, recalled the days of union, and heeded the fancies of those around, yet the tide of affection ne'er did flow in kind. Verily, not from mine own mother, I beseech thee. Lucas didst ever remain the very fulcrum of our kin, drawing all hearts unto him. He possessed a certain allure, one that did ensnare the hearts of all, a manner of transmuting each misstep into a delightful peculiarity. He didst traverse through employments and bonds, and once didst bring ruin upon the family carriage. Yet, each occasion, my mother did dismiss it with a gentle smile and a phrase, "He doth merely seek to understand his path." Jealousy, I assure thee, was not my plight, nor in the manner that others might conceive. I did not desire such a tumultuous existence. What I sought was recognition, a nod to my existence. Pray, a fleeting instant. My heartfelt gratitude to thee, Elias. That utterance bore not the semblance of a mere afterthought, nor did it carry the weight of a plea for coin. The last fissure did not commence with a grand event. It commenced with a missive, borne upon the wings of the ether. Mine own mother did dispatch a missive to the kinfolk, encompassing aunts, cousins, and even distant relations, whom I had not laid mine eyes upon in many a year, summoning us all to the feast in honor of Lucas's birth anniversary. It shall be a grand revelry, a testament to his flourishing, she did pen. A moment to pay homage to the noble soul he doth evolve into. That line didst cause me to halt in contemplation. Lucas did approach the age of 27. Once more, he found himself adrift in the realm of employment, returning to the hearth of his youth, and still entreating the kindness of many a soul upon that missive scroll for coin. Yet, verily, it is well. Upon the calendar, I did inscribe the day, secured a respite from toil, and even procured a card, along with a gift most considerate, a framed chart of all the cities that Lucas hath oft expressed a desire to behold in days yet to come. Upon the appointed hour, I did arrive, attired with care, and bearing a present, adorned in fine wrappings. The repast was held at a quaint establishment in the heart of the town, one of those places adorned with soft illumination and portions most diminutive, verging on the absurd. Mine own mother did already grace the scene, presiding o'er the lengthy table, radiant as though it were her day of birth. She beckoned me forth with that feigned smile she doth don for the presence of others, and bestowed upon me the customary, "How delightful it is that thou couldst attend. Not a single embrace shall be bestowed. There exists no warmth. Merely duty ensconced in the garb of courtesy." Lo, Lucas did enter a mere 10 minutes hence, accompanied by his fair maiden and a company of friends, whose visages were unknown to me. All did rise as though nobility had graced the chamber with their presence. The mirth did swell, the praises did cascade, and I, as ever, slipped into the shadows. In mine attempts to engage in light discourse with mine uncle, he did persist in wandering into tales of Lucas's grand aspirations and boundless potential. Mine own cousin did inquire if I still toiled in that coding employment, and then, with swift transition, did beseech me to lend mine aid to Lucas in the crafting of an apt conception he hath conceived. I did take my leave and sought the solace of the bar, yearning for a fleeting moment of solitude. When the hour of supper did arrive, I had resigned myself to the absence of discourse profound. Mine heart's desire was but to partake of sustenance, to bestow the token of affection, to utter joyous birthday wishes, and then to return to mine abode. Yet, verily, the cosmos, or perchance my mother, did conspire with designs most unforeseen. As the sweet course did appear, so too did the orations unfold. In the beginning, Lucas did deliver a speech, as was to be expected, a tapestry woven with jest and earnestness, wherein he did express his gratitude, adorned with jests regarding the fortuitousness of his remarkable support system that hath guided him to this moment. With heartfelt gratitude, he did express his thanks unto his beloved, his comrades, and at last, his mother, who, as if summoned by the very fates, did shed a tear in perfect harmony with the moment. Not a word of my presence, not so much as a fleeting gaze. Then did my mother rise from her seat. She raised her chalice aloft and beamed, that constrained, performative grin she reserves for those fleeting instances she yearns to be etched in memory. "Let us lift our chalice," quoth she, "to the progeny who truly holds import." A moment's hush did linger, a fleeting breath in time, yet ample it was. Long enough for each pair of eyes at the table to cast their gaze upon me. The mirth that ensued was naught but overt. Mine uncle did chuckle with mirth. Mine cousin didst snort into her cup. Even Lucas didst bestow that self-satisfied, half-laughter he oft employed when another did strike a blow at my expense. In mine breast did a fervor ascend, not born of wrath at the outset, but rather the sharp pang of ignominy. To be thus cast aside in public gaze by the lady who vowed to cherish me unconditionally. At the outset, I uttered not a word. Merely did I smile. With a measured nod, he did acquiesce. Then did I reach into mine own jacket pocket and draw forth a white envelope. "Nothing of grandeur, I prithee. Lo, a simple, sealed missive I hath kept in my possession for a time most considerable." With purpose, I rose from my seat, traversed the expanse of the table, and with tender care, set it before my mother. "If this eve be dedicated to the one who holds our hearts," I did proclaim, with a voice steady yet resolute, "then this must surely be his due." Silence did descend upon the chamber. Silence reigns supreme. Mine mother gazed upon the envelope as though it bore fangs. At the outset, she did not lay a finger upon it. She cast her gaze upon me, a delicate furrow gracing her brow, as she endeavored to decipher the nature of our plight. Lucas appeared in a state of perplexity. All present did freeze, caught in a web of uncertainty, pondering if this were but a jest or a tableau unfolding before their very eyes. Yet I remained still. With hands clasped before me, I did but bide my time in patient stillness. At length, she did unseal it. She did not. Verily, she did not. My mother's pride doth resemble granite, cold and polished, a substance most steadfast, nigh impossible to shatter. Yet Lucas, with a swift motion, did seize it from her grasp, adorned with that nonchalant smile he oft bore when he fancied the gaze of fortune to be upon him. "Take thy ease, dear mother," quoth he, a gentle mirth escaping his lips as he did smooth the parchment with care. "Pray, let us behold what gift Elias hath bestowed upon me. Pray, let it not be yet another discourse." The chamber didst hold its breath. He commenced his reading, his voice bright and merry at the outset, as though it were yet another toast to the one of utmost significance. "As I have oft been denied the opportunity to voice this sentiment, I deemed thy birthday a most fitting occasion to express it aloud." He didst slow his pace, his smile waning as he perused the lines before him. "Forsooth, I have devoted countless years to witness this noble kin strive with utmost fervor to render thee a sovereign of their hearts." He didst halt, and raised his gaze unto me. "Is this a jest most foul?" "Continue thy reading," I did proclaim, remaining steadfast in my stance, serene in visage, whilst my heart did thunder within my breast. Lucas cast his gaze about, a palpable discomfort washing over him, yet pride did prevail in the end. He pressed on, yet the cadence had transformed. Departed was the light-hearted jest. His voice did tremble, as he beheld our mother transform each gathering, each discourse, every morsel of attention into a reflective glass wherein thou might gaze upon thyself with admiration. "Lo, I have beheld thee ascend, though thy failures lay strewn like autumn leaves, whilst others toiled to mend the havoc thou hast wrought. Yet, miraculously, thou dost still garner accolades, the sweet nectar of praise, and countless opportunities bestowed upon thee anew. Lo, the whispers did commence, chairs did groan, and a handful of souls did cast glances upon one another. Mine aunt didst shift in her seat, whilst my cousin's mouth didst fall agape. I remained motionless, allowing the silence to accumulate its heavy burden. Lucas did attempt to scoff, to don that customary smirk, yet his voice did betray him, cracking asunder. "Pray tell, Elias, what manner of thing is this?" "Lo, I did proclaim, gesturing towards the missive, this be my offering unto thee, and to mother, and to all present who hath shared in the falsehood we have woven for many a year. At last, my mother hath discovered her voice. Dost thou deem this fitting? Text, dost thou believe that to bring shame upon thy brother on the day of his birth is a matter of pride?" My jaw did clench with fervent ire, yet I raised not my voice in tempestuous outcry. Text, thou didst bring upon me great shame the instant thou didst raise the chalice and utter those words, whilst all present didst laugh, as if I were not seated at the same table. Lucas did cast the letter upon the table as though it were but refuse. This is a lamentable state of affairs. Pray tell, good sir, hast thou chosen mine own birthday to enact such a jest? Thou must mature. Once did I laugh, yet it was with a bitter heart. Thou still dost not comprehend it. Thou shalt never achieve it. Verily, within that envelope lay more, indeed. That missive was but the prologue to a grand tale yet to unfold. What none at that table did perceive, not yet, was that I had, in silence, toiled these past 6 moons to extricate myself from this family's tangled web of dysfunction, severing the bonds they knew not were entwined about me. No further urgent remittances shall be bestowed upon Lucas. No longer shall I assist my mother in the labor of tax filings, for she hath never expressed her gratitude unto me. No longer shall I dwell in the shadows of a mere contingency. Moreover, within that envelope, there lay another matter of import. Something of import, perchance. Something that doth bind by law. Yet that portion. Yet, I have not confided in a soul. Not even mine own dearest companion. Forsooth, I sought to execute it with utmost precision. I yearned for them to behold, to sense the tremor when the earth didst begin to stir beneath their very souls. This eve was but the prologue to what shall unfold. The inaugural blow hath been dealt, and I did desire that each word might find its mark. Yet I remained upright, and once more I delved into my jacket, producing a second diminutive envelope which I laid upon the table, this time directly before Lucas. What dost thou seek now? He spake, arms entwined, his voice ascending in fervor. Another oration, perchance? Dost thou seek applause or some such praise? I cast mine eyes upon him. Indeed, I gazed upon him with earnest scrutiny, and for the first time in an age, I felt not diminished in his presence. I felt not as the second choice, nor as a mere shadow cast upon the ground. Nay, I did utter in hushed tones, merely the weight of accountability doth rest upon us. In that moment, Lucas didst unveil the second missive, and all did cease. He didst blink upon the contents laid before him. Peruse the verses. Peruse them once more. Then didst gaze upon me, countenance wan and frail. Mine mother did seize it from his grasp, and perused a leaf therein. Her lips did part, yet naught but silence did emerge. The second missive was not of great length, merely a handful of lines, inscribed with care upon the parchment of legal letterhead. Yet the burden of it struck with the force of a mighty hammer. Lucas gazed upon me as though I had unleashed a most hallowed thing into the air. Mine own mother, in the passage of time, did transform from a state of bewilderment to one of fervent ire, her cheeks aglow with the fire of her wrath. Her lips did part, then close, and part once more, as though she yearned to unleash a cry, yet found herself bereft of the fitting armament. Forsooth, what she did grasp was a missive most formal from mine own attorney, affirming that the dominion of our grandfather's cabin, that very cabin, which mine mother and Lucas did ever regard as their own cherished retreat, hath been duly bestowed upon me. The cabin was not merely a place of fond remembrance. It was the bequest of our venerable grandfather, the sole true treasure he bequeathed upon his departure 3 years hence. He had cherished that humble abode. He did uphold it steadfastly until the very end of his days. Summoned us thither each summer's grace. Yet beyond all else, he had cherished me deeply, softly, in hushed tones, with unwavering resolve. Though my mother did oft dismiss my achievements and regarded me as a mere bother, dear Grandpa Dean didst make it known that I was the one upon whom he placed his trust. Yet, verily, none did inquire of me what transpired post the solemn rites of farewell. No soul did heed the fact that he departed, leaving in his wake a missive penned by hand, accompanied by the keys. None did heed when my mother proclaimed, with assured resolve, that the cabin shall, in due course, pass to Lucas. Thy grandfather would have desired it thus. All did incline their heads in agreement. I did not deign to engage in dispute. Lo, I did but bide my time. Hastened not, till the parchment did find its rightful passage. Upon the hour when the levies of property and the scrolls of transfer didst inscribe my name, I didst await. hath I tarried until all was sealed tight. What dost thou seek now? Mine patience hath run its course. Mine understanding doth elude me. Mine mother at last did prevail, her voice strained, as though she did compel civility through teeth tightly clenched. Verily, this cannot be aught but an error. The cabin was not thine to bestow. With measured grace, I didst turn mine gaze upon her. Nay, yet, 'twas grandfather's to bestow, and he bestowed it upon me. He did place his trust in me to manage it with due care. For these past 3 years, I have permitted thee and Lucas to wield it as though it were thine own. I didst attend to the upkeep, the mending, and the services of necessity. Thou art aware of the sum I have bestowed to uphold that abode's stature. She made no reply. She gazed upon the letter, as though it might transform into a wondrous thing should her eyelids flutter with sufficient fervor. Lucas arose with such haste that his chair did slide back with a clatter. What mattereth it? Thou art casting us forth from our abode. Thou art destined to become that fellow henceforth. Nay, I did declare with utmost simplicity. I do declare, the falsehood shall meet its end. From this day forth, neither of these shall have access to the estate. Lo, I have secured the portals anew. I have informed the steward of the premises. And in the eyes of the law, thou possessest no claim thereto. Thus, whatever designs for the summer you didst conjure, cast them aside. The tavern lay in hushed repose. Even the servers didst halt in their toil, feigning to adjust the menus whilst most clearly eavesdropping upon the discourse. I placed not the weight of blame upon their shoulders. This is but a trifling matter, quoth Lucas with disdain. Incredibly trifling. Forsooth, 'tis but a jest conjured by mother. I gazed upon him with unwavering scrutiny. It is not the jest that doth matter. It hath ne'er been solely about a singular matter. Lo, it hath been many a year, Lucas. Years spent in the shadows, cast aside, mocked and scorned, forsaken. This eve I did not stir a tempest. Thou hast done so. Lo, I have bestowed upon thee the verity. He did advance towards me. Dost thou now believe thyself superior to us? Dost thou believe that being a mere technician in yon bustling city grants thee the right to gaze upon thine own kin with disdain? Nay, I did proclaim with a voice both tranquil and resolute. To select tranquillity o'er tumult, I find, doth grant me the strength to no longer suffer the tread of those such as thee upon my spirit. Mine own mother gazed in astonishment. Perchance a touch of trepidation doth linger. She was not accustomed to mine utterances in such a manner, yet not without retreating in the very next breath. Upon her lips did part, and in that moment I foresaw the words that were to flow forth. The burden of remorse doth weigh heavy upon the heart. The quaking utterance. They were kin, words that ever flowed when fortune did not favor her course. Thus did I sever the bond that once held us fast. I shall no longer partake in this endeavor. I did venture hither this eve, for I did muse, perchance thou wouldst astonish me. Perchance, if but once, thou wouldst recognize my presence in this kin as naught but a mere alternative to thy grand designs. Instead, thou didst lift a chalice high and proclaimed to all that I held no worth. Thus have I made mine own choice. Lucas, didst emit a laugh, tinged with bitterness. Dost thou believe this doth render thee formidable? Thou dost resemble a petulant child, full of bitterness. I didst incline mine head with a gentle tilt. Perchance I have at last ceased to don the guise thou didst script for me. At last, the voice of my mother did pierce the veil of silence. Hush thee! Mastered and held in restraint, we shall discourse upon this matter within the confines of our abode. In seclusion, there remains naught to discourse upon. I did proclaim. This humble cabin doth belong to me. The confines are established. Thou art no longer deserving of mine silence. I didst retrieve mine own coat. With gentle care, I did draw my chair close, securing it in its rightful place. The missive lay upon the table's heart, akin to a forsaken ember upon a parched expanse. I did not take my leave with farewells. As I didst turn to take my leave, a fork did clatter upon the floor with a most discordant sound. Mine own cousin doth whisper, "Art thou aware of this matter?" A soft breath of astonishment escapes from another soul. A chalice doth topple o'er. Yet the singular sound that clung to my soul most resolutely was the voice of my mother, soft and tremulous, inquiring of Lucas, "What have we wrought?" I did not tarry to await the response. Upon the conclusion of that repast, I did not make haste to my abode. Upon mine arrival at a desolate vantage, just beyond the city's embrace, I didst alight and linger, mine eyes beholding the twinkling lights that danced upon the hill's gentle slopes. Mine device did buzz with ceaseless fervor. Calls unheeded, left to linger in the silence. Messages left in the ether. Primarily from Lucas. A handful bestowed upon me by my mother. None of their queries found response. Not as of this moment. Time I did require. To think not, I beseech thee. Mine own decision hath already been wrought. Yet to draw breath. Forsooth, after many a year, I found myself unshackled from their weight. And what of that profound silence? It didst feel as if liberation's sweet embrace didst envelop me. Upon the morrow's light, the missives did transform from a state of bewilderment to one of ire. Lucas did send forth a missive by way of text. Thou hast caught us unawares. Truly refined, good sir. Verily, that missive doth resemble a jest. Text, dost thou believe a cabin doth elevate thee above thy kin? Pray, return my call. At this very moment. Then from mine own mother. We must discourse upon the events of yestereve. Thou hast brought shame upon thy brother before the eyes of all. Thou hast ever been most theatrical. Can we not address this matter with a gravitas befitting our years? Elias, thou art a name of noble sound. Verily, I speak with utmost gravity. Let not our kin be sundered for this folly. And thus, at long last. Well met. Follow thine own desires. Yet, do not anticipate our humble approach when thou dost comprehend the folly of thine actions. I did not respond. Instead, I did send forth an electronic missive to mine attorney, seeking assurance that the alteration of the lock was indeed fulfilled. He hath engaged a steward of the estate on my behalf, a soul familiar with the cabin's vicinity, to oversee all matters henceforth. I had bestowed upon the explicit directives. No soul, be it Lucas or mine own mother, shall tread upon this ground without the sacred writ of my consent. Yet I was well acquainted with mine own kin, and I did perceive they would not depart in silence. Upon the passage of 2 sons, a missive did arrive from the steward, Jamie. She was forthright and devoid of pretense, a soul who spake with candor, shunning the sweetening of truth. Hark, Elias, she did proclaim. Verily, this morn did thy brother and a lady, who doth assert herself as thy mother, make their appearance. I didst shut mine eyes. Pray, allow me to surmise. Strive to comport thyself as though they still possessed dominion over this realm. Indeed, they bore keys, ancient relics, now rendered useless, and sought to convey to me their intent to merely visit and retrieve a handful of personal belongings. In mine ear, I could almost discern the smug tones of Lucas, seeking to weave his charm and gain entry to my thoughts. How dost thou manage it? I did inquire. Steadfast yet courteous, she did declare. Proclaimed unto them that the estate hath found new stewardship, the names inscribed upon the deed being thine own, and should they refuse to depart, I would be compelled to summon the sheriff. They did raise their voices with great fervor. The matron, thy mother, hath proclaimed that thou art acting with malice most foul. The knave did commence to bellow concerning attorneys. With a heavy heart, I did exhale a mournful sigh. Gratitude, dear Jamie. If they dost appear once more, prithee, do take it upon thyself to make the call. I shall lend thee my support in matters of law. I shall proceed forthwith. And forsooth, I have encountered many a haughty soul throughout the passage of time. Thou art on the path of righteousness. Upon the cessation of our discourse, I lingered in a profound stillness for a span of moments. Mine heart was not filled with wrath. Surprise did not grace my countenance. This was their essence, their very being. Mine own mother hath toiled for many a year, feigning that her partiality was but a guise of support, whilst her neglect of me was but a means to grant me independence. Lucas didst construct his very essence upon the foundation of adoration and indulgence. Verily, They did believe they could cast aside a writ of law. For many a year, they hath disregarded the limits I did set. Yet this occasion shall bear weighty repercussions. The next occasion upon which I did hear from them, it was not by means of missives inscribed in text. Lo, it was a missive sent to many, a gathering of thoughts in the ether. Ode to the subject line. Forgiveness, dear kin, is the balm that soothes the weary heart. The missive's body was lengthy, penned with clarity by my mother, whilst Lucas likely hovered near, casting his watchful gaze upon her toil. It was replete with veiled barbs, shrouded in the guise of tender affection. Verily, we perceive thy anguish, Elias. This kin hath erred, yet love must ever take precedence. Thou dost act from a heart steeped in bitterness, and verily, thou shalt rue the day thou didst cast us aside. Lucas, in this trying hour, doth merit succor, not scorn. When thou art prepared to return to thine senses, we shall grant thee our forgiveness. That final utterance did mark the point of fracture. Would they bestow upon me their pardon? I made no response. Instead, I did dispatch unto them a copy of the final estate documents, this time with passages aglow, revealing that I was not merely the sole legal possessor of the cabin, but that I had also, in formal decree, severed all financial sustenance. Something I had ne'er proclaimed with voice before. Verily, for many a year, I hath discreetly dispatched coin. Rectified deficiencies. Unforeseen charges did arise when Lucas did falter in his financial duties, or when the household's utilities did find themselves in arrears. Henceforth, no more shall it be. I didst formally sever mine ties from their coffers. Mine advocate did assist me in the crafting of the requisite scrolls, that I might secure mine own self from the burden of any debts they may seek to cast upon me in times yet to come. I hath sealed the shared account of emergencies. My digits hath been altered. Sealed mine social discourse within the confines of the digital realm. I did unleash a tempest, yet with caution, within the bounds of law, and for all eternity. And thus I did abide. They fell into a hushed stillness. Henceforth, no more missives shall be sent. Henceforth, let there be no more summons. For the span of 3 weeks, naught did I hear a whisper. It was a scene both haunting and serene. Until such time as I did receive a missive of sound from mine cousin Mel, one of the scant kinfolk I still held in some measure of trust. Hark, Elias. In truth, I found myself in a quandary, uncertain whether to extend my hand, yet the tempest doth rage about me. Thy mother doth seek to weave a tapestry of guilt, compelling the kin to sever ties with thee. She did proclaim to all that thou didst purloin the cabin. That venerable sire bequeathed it unto thee both, a tale I know to be naught but falsehood. Lo, Lucas doth now seek refuge at a companion's abode, for thy mother's dwelling lacks the ample space to accommodate him, and he doth cast the blame upon thee for the ruin of his summer's joy. It is most foul. Pray, allow me to impart this knowledge unto thee. And forsooth, I stand in thy favor. I did express my gratitude unto her. That missive proved the ultimate stroke of doom. What remains of mine erstwhile guilt? Departed. They did ever anticipate that I should serve as the net of safety, the silent progeny, the mender of woes. Yet verily, the stark reality doth reveal, one can only endure the act of igniting oneself to warm the hearts of others for a fleeting time, ere one is reduced to naught but ashes. And I had ceased to burn. In that fair summer, I didst take a fortnight's leave from mine toil and didst journey alone to the cabin. Forsaken and solitary. As I traversed the lengthy earthen path, a transformation stirred within my very soul. The air lay hushed, as if the world held its breath. The trees did softly murmur with the breath of the wind. Lo, it was the selfsame cabin of my youth, the porch creaking as if to whisper tales of old, and the screen door, a lamenting wail upon its opening, did greet me once more. Yet, it did seem altered in this present hour. Not akin to a dwelling of kin. Not as though it were a thing borrowed or but a fleeting loan bestowed upon me. It didst feel well-deserved. Upon crossing the threshold, I did ignite a flame. Upon the couch I did repose, a tome in hand. Upon the morrow, I partook of coffee upon the deck, whilst gentle deer did wander through the clearing. Yet, not once did my thoughts wander to my mother. Not from malice's grasp. Merely tranquillity. To her last missive, I did not respond. Hath not I returned the call to Lucas? Through Mel's whispers, I did learn that they, in time, ceased their efforts to weave their tale, as the greater part of kinfolk turned their backs upon them as well. The semblance of Lucas as the favoured son did falter, once I ceased to nourish that mirage with my coin. Lo, it hath been nigh a year hence. This humble cabin doth belong to me. Mine own existence doth belong to me. And the hush I once did dread hath now become mine own refuge. There be those who declare that kin doth encompass all that matters. Yet I have come to know that kinship doth not rest solely upon the sharing of one's blood. 'Tis the one who doth appear in thy hour of need. Who doth behold thee? Who dost thou choose? And forsooth, in this singular moment of mine existence, I did choose myself.